Attention SMP artists, are you looking to take your business to the next level? It's time to fully systemize your studio for growth with the ultimate sales and marketing platform for SMP artists, HighLead. With HighLead, you get everything that you need to save time and effortlessly generate more consultations and bookings on autopilot. And guess what? HighLead is not just a system, but also one of the largest Google ad agencies in the world for SMP professionals. Imagine having a marketing strategy that's tailor-made for the SMP industry, driving high-quality leads right to your studio. Say goodbye to the struggle of finding the latest marketing trend. HighLead has you covered. Invested into your training? Check. Invested into your equipment and studio setup? Check. Now it's time to invest into your marketing strategy. Don't risk your marketing budget on anything else until you've experienced HighLead's growth system and Google Ads services. Visit GoHighLead.com today to book a free demo now and join the hundreds of SMP artists who've embraced HighLead to thrive in their businesses. On the free no-obligation demo call, a member of HighLead's team will answer all of your questions and help you unlock the potential of your SMP studio by getting you more bookings. Visit GoHighLead.com today.
Ever wonder what keeps me focused and energized during long SMP sessions and Scalp Solutions Podcast? It's Wava Water. Wava isn't just water. It's a whole new experience. It combines lightly caffeinated, sparkling water with binaural beats of sound frequencies and music. Together, they help boost creativity, productivity, and focus. And here's the best part. It's as refreshing as it is delicious. So, whether you're creating that perfect hairline for a client or tuning in to elevate your SMP game with the Scalp Solutions Podcast, Wava Water keeps you refreshed and ready to perform at your best. Because great work starts with great tools and great hydration. Wava Water. Refresh your focus, boost your confidence. Find out more at wavawater.com.
What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Scalp Solutions Podcast. I'm your host, David Santiago, and today's episode is going to be fire because I've got not one, not two, but three legends in the SMP industry joining me. If you've been around the block, if you've been in the business, you already know their names. And if you don't, trust me, after today, you'll never forget them. Joining me are the masterminds behind the No BS SMP Podcast, David Hoffer, Magic Mike, and Paul Clark, veterans in the game with years of experience, thousands of clients, and a whole lot of wisdom to drop. They're cutting through the noise, telling it like it is, and bringing the hard truth that SMP artists need to hear. No fluff, no sugarcoating, just straight up knowledge that'll help you thrive in this industry. We're going to be diving into who they are, why they created this platform, and most importantly, how the No BS SMP Podcast is about to shake things up and push the industry forward. So buckle up, because if you're serious about growth, success, and becoming the best in the game, this is the episode you cannot afford to miss. Ladies and gentlemen, let's not waste any time. I'm pumped to have these guys on today. Gentlemen, welcome to the show. I know the SMP world is ready to hear what you've got to say. And for all of you who may not know, each of you, can you please just introduce yourself and share a little about your journey into the SMP industry? We'll start with Paul, then we'll go with Mike, and then we'll go with Dave.
So my name's Paul Clark. How you doing, everybody? So I've been in this crazy world of SMP for 15 years. You know, I'm slowly on my way to my 7th year in SMP. I own my own clinic called Legends Clinic, not Legends SMP. Let's just clarify that straight away. So Legends Clinic, you'll find me. That's a whole long story. But Legends Clinic, you'll find me at. And yeah, I love what I do. I love how this industry can help people have newfound confidence, a second chance in life. So that's why I get a little bit angsty, a little bit like raw about when I see just bullshit education out there. So yeah, 15 years in the game, been around the block a few times. That's where all the grey hair's coming from these days. But yeah, I love it. I love it.
Excellent. Thank you, Paul. And Mike?
Yeah, guys, my name is Mike Mushinsky, also known as Magic Mike in this industry. I've been doing SMP, actually February is going to be 13 years. And one time in Birmingham, I met Paul, which trained me back in the day, 3 months training, proper training, best experience of my lifetime. We've been friends since then, right, Paul? I mean, my brother. So is David, both Davids, but David Hoffer as well. But yeah, I mean, been doing it since 2012. We used to work for Hairline Inc., company that we created back in 2016. But before that, we all used to work for his hair clinic, me and Paul. And now I own mine, company Magic Inc. SMP in Chicago.
Standing. Thank you, Mike. Welcome to the show. And now we got Big David.
Appreciate that. Yeah, my name is David Hoffer. I've been doing SMP since 2013, so not as long as these two gentlemen, but I'm right on the cusp.
We got some time.
And I got into the industry, the way that most guys did. I had it done. I loved the way I looked, and I wanted to do this for other people. So I love what I do every day, and I've met some really, really good people. It's a blessing to do what we all do, because we see the lives that we change. And I just want to make sure that this industry stays true to itself. I don't know what you think, Dave, but we all got together, Mike and Paul, and we saw that there was some issues, and we want to be the Donald Trump of SMP and make SMP great again.
Outstanding.
Yeah, so I was gonna wear the wig, but I don't have it. So yeah, thanks
awesome.
for having us.
Outstanding. I appreciate you guys taking time and coming on. So that brings me to my very first question. What was it that inspired you guys to start the No BS SMP podcast? And just so that everyone understands, the BS stands for bullshit, correct?
100%.
So it's the No Bullshit SMP podcast. What was it?
Yeah,
Is that the sign?
That's sign language.
That's sign language. Yeah. I was gonna say that's sign language for bullshit. All right. So what was it that inspired you guys to start this podcast, to start this platform? Was it a specific moment or a frustration that sparked the idea?
Should I take over?
Let's go, Paul. Paul, we'll kick it off with you, Paul, and then Mike, and then Dave.
Yeah.
That's how we'll kick it. Paul, Mike, Dave.
I fucked myself up there, and I've always got to go first now. So it kind of was created of what you said, frustration, and just like it's time to educate as well. Frustration and experience, and it's kind of I feel like that because we've been in the game for so long, and we all are independent business owners. Some of us are aligned to different brands. Me personally, I'm not aligned to any brand really. So it's the first time in a long time I felt like I could use my voice without someone going shut up, like spray me with a bottle like a dog. Stop it, Paul, you're making too much noise. And now I feel like I've been free for the last 2 years, and I feel like I personally think that I've got some weight in the industry, and what I say a lot of people will take notice of. But we kind of came from a moment in meeting the minds in New York when we were staying together for a week, and it was one of the best weeks of my life. We found ourselves staying up till like 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, sitting around in our underwear, boxers,
Amazing visual, by the way.
Yeah, guts hanging out. Dave's got like a 20-pack. It's ridiculous. But like we was just like talking about shop and life and who we are, and it came to like after like the 4th night of talking about S&P constantly and what's wrong with it and what's great with it, is that we actually all had this like eureka moment where we was like, actually what we have to say, I feel like carries some mega value. And you saw for yourselves at Meeting the Minds. I think our talk personally was the most thought-provoking and had massive value, because everybody was almost like an autobiography kind of talk, where ours was like, hold on, let's address some fucking epic shit here and some serious issues in the industry. So I think it was just the right time of us kind of being around the block a little bit and going, you know what, enough's enough now. When you see like people being damaged by all this misinformation and these marketing techniques and just basic bullshit education, and people getting hurt, which is a cause and effect of like sequence of what's happening. And we felt like all the need is like, how can we just sit here and not say anything when we've got mountains of knowledge and education, and all of us are not politically correct, and we just say how it is on the front line, how it is in the trenches. So I mean, and we saw like there was really like, Dave, you do great work, man, and so does Joe Dots with his podcast. You do great work, but we saw an opportunity to say, well, actually, no one's really talking the way we can potentially talk, because we've got no more handlers, we've got no more dog collars around our necks. Do you know what I mean? So we felt like actually we can be quite free of what we say, and almost be a little bit angsty and a little bit like, what? You're not allowed to say that. You know what I mean? So, I can't ask for two of the better co-hosts who've got their ethics and their moral compass pointed the same way, and our moral compass is pointing all the same direction. So I just felt like we're all very like-minded. We want to tell people the truth. We want to help guide people and just get rid of all the bullshit.
Yeah, David, thank you first of all for having us on.
Thank you, David. Yeah, of
Yeah,
course.
like Paul said, yeah, the issue in the industry has been building up over the years. It's not like it happened in the last year. We've seen it. I've seen it in my clinic. Paul did, David as well. So we discussed about it, but we wouldn't come out right away because people wouldn't, trust us maybe or believe us. Who the fuck are we, right? To talk about someone else's ideas, product. We're not trying to bash anyone. We're just trying to educate people, regarding what's being used in SMP because we've seen it. We know how it works. Most importantly is the training. I've seen the training, for the past 6 years getting worse and worse. The way I see it is when I get clients coming in with botched treatment, trying to get fixed up, and there's more and more of those clients each year. It's getting more and more. So we're trying to fix that because the reputation of SMP is going to go down eventually if we keep going that way.
How about you, Dave?
Well, it's interesting because early on, even before I was really great friend, I've always admired Paul and Mike, but before we really got close, I was on the side of, I was trying to police the industry, which is very difficult to do. I would see something that I saw was wrong, and I would want to say something. Maybe I would contact that person, directly and try to call them out, but with trying to help people, not trying to say, oh, your work is shit. I'm never going to do that. I'm always in it to try to help somebody out. And trying to police an entire industry is difficult. And I'm not to say that I know everything, but I align myself on an opposite side, on the tattoo side. And I learned so much from the tattoo side, from manufacturing, from machine building, from needle making, all this stuff. And even just from applying ink to skin from tattooers. I mean, decades and decades of tattooers that know what they're doing. So I got that knowledge and I tried to help people, but it was just kind of it was falling on deaf ears. I don't have a big presence. So trying to police an industry was difficult. So I kind of gave up. And then speaking to Paul and Mike, they were like, you know what? We see the same issues. And I guarantee everybody sees the same issues. Everybody's scared to say something. Nobody wants to piss anybody off. But sometimes you got to break a couple eggs to make a nice omelet. I don't know if I said that correctly, but it sounded good.
That's how you make an omelet.
That sounded good. That's good.
And unfortunately, some of those eggs that we're going to break they may be friendships, but some of these friendships are leading the industry in the wrong direction. And when that's my issue is with influence. People who are very well known have influence. And a synonym of influence is manipulate, coerce. So if you're an influencer, you can manipulate and coerce a whole industry into doing what they think you know what you're talking about. And you may have no clue. I've listened to a lot of podcasts, and like I said, I don't just listen to them. I fact check them. Everybody else just listens to it. Oh yeah, that guy's, what he says is true. I fact check because I have access. That's why I'm so grateful that I have access to people that know way more than I do, know way more than all of us, to be honest. So I double check with them and then their sources, and then I get the real information. I actually was just fact checking our ink manufacturer today about a podcast, and and I found out some interesting information. So anyway, that's stuff that I didn't like the way it was going. And then in Meeting of the Minds, I was given an opportunity from Damien to be a presenter. And I said, you know what? I don't want to be a presenter. I don't want to be up there with all eyes on me and just talking about myself or just me. So I said, hey, why don't I get Paul and Mike and let's go up there and talk collaboratively. I even said, let's get Matt up there. Let's get Jonathan Drew up there so we can all talk about an issue that hopefully we all see is an issue and how can we correct it. And that's where this whole thing came from. And then this podcast just spawned from that. And like Paul and Mike said, we're doing this for the good. We're not just trying to pick out issues. We want to find a solution to them. And these guys, they're awesome. And we want to help everybody as much as we can, if they're willing to listen.
So you guys, these sessions that you guys were having while in New York, they must have been really intense, right? Because you evolved to what you got going on now. Because listen, we've all been in a conversation where it's like, well, this is wrong, but this was like, no, we got to do something about it, which leads me to my next question. Why the name No Bullshit SMP Podcast? what kind of BS do you feel? I know you guys kind of touch up, but what's the main BS that you guys feel needs to be addressed in the industry?
Well, first of all, we will say this is what we interpret as bullshit. What we believe is bullshit. It's, the podcast stems from us having an opinion. And like arseholes, everybody's got an opinion. We all got buttholes, everybody's got an opinion. One of my favourite sayings, because it's so true. And it's one of them things where you don't have to go and believe that we're the gospel. We don't want to come off like we are three grumpy men. We just are highlighting what we feel is bullshit. And I can really say in confidence, I generally think, and I know this already, a lot of people do agree with us, because even with the first episode, which was amateur as fuck, and it probably will still evolve slowly till we get to your level. Ridiculous, mate.
Don't worry, we're going to be there.
Yeah, with your help, yeah. So it's a lot of feedback is like, this is what I've been thinking about. This is what I've been saying for years. Thank God for someone like you. Thank God for you speaking out. Thank God that you're taking the courage to go up. It's the No BS SMP Podcast name comes from. Just actually start hitting the hard subjects, what everybody's scared of. We have to tackle these hard subjects like education, needle manufacturing, pigment was a big one, ethics, all this sort of stuff. Double mic. I've got a double mic on the screen right now.
I got a double mic.
We're shit, so I was acting like, I'm listening to.
Magic.
One's enough, bro.
I didn't hear you. Seriously, for like past 2 minutes, I didn't hear anyone conversation, so I don't know what you guys talking about.
They were talking about the whole name of the podcast evolved because in New York, you wanted to create your own pigment and needles, and you weren't going about it ethically, so these guys got pissed.
Shit. Man.
So,
I thought you asked me for
Sorry,
child
Paul.
support or something for what we did in New York.
yeah, Mike's the major issue. That's why we got him on. Keep your enemies closer, right?
I'm sorry, Paul. I had to cap.
It's kind of like what we said. Like we got to our threshold of all the bullshit, and we're just like, you know what? People now have a place to come to hear a different opinion, an unfiltered opinion, even if it's right, wrong, or slightly. I can agree with it. It's just good to hear three different people having their own opinions. We might not all agree. The latest bullshit I heard the other day is someone who's brought out a new SMP device with no vibration.
Sounds, in theory, sounds functional.
So that's, yet again, it's like, well, that's bullshit. It's just bullshit. There could be a level of vibration. I don't know. Maybe it's just basically I feel like, for me personally, I've just had enough of all the bullshit, and this is what the podcast is. It's an area to be really hard hitting, thought provoking, and go, you know what, fucking maybe I need to start thinking a different way about things instead of like, the blind leading the blind almost.
Got you. So you mentioned something, Paul, and I don't know. I mean, not that I don't know. I do know that you guys don't care, but you said you don't want to appear like three grumpy men just talking. Are you guys prepared, though, to get that kind of backlash? Because I can only assume that you guys have sat down and were like, yo, we're about to piss off a lot of people, and you know what? We're ready for it.
Like I said, Dave, everybody has an opinion. People can say, oh, Paul, you don't know what you're talking about. I'll be like, okay, I'm not going to lose no sleep over it. I'm just vocalizing what I feel is the issue and stuff like that. And I know that we could come across as grumpy. I think the only people who will say that we're grumpy are the people who could be maybe affected of what we're saying.
Understand.
From the feedback at the moment has been overwhelmingly positive, which makes me think that we are on a correct path. But yeah, I am old and I am grumpy sometimes. So then
we all have kids, so we get grumpy.
I'm sorry, go ahead, Dave.
I was going to say, I don't think we want to see this go in the way of microblading, where it got so watered down and so washed out and so much crap in there that it just, now it's like people kind of clown on it. And SMP isn't a service that should be clowned. It's a fucking legitimate service. I mean, I had mine redone just because I wanted to change the way it looked. And while I was going through that process of being bald again, I got depressed all over again. So this is a real thing. And we don't want to see, like I said, I don't want to repeat. Actually, I do want to repeat myself. We don't want to see it get watered down and go, oh, that's not a legitimate service anymore because all the shit out.
We're not only artists, right? We're psychiatrists as well. Because David, you know yourself, everyone knows the clients we have, they're stressed out, depression, suicidal because of hair loss. And if this is their solution, they know it's a solution that's going to fix them. And someone fucks it up, imagine where the person is at, right? Mentally. And yeah, it's not good.
So there's no room for bullshit.
So Dave, and I'm just pointing out with Dave because I've had these conversations in the past with Dave, and I always appreciated it because I feel like, and hopefully you can agree, Dave, like we've had conversations in the past where things could have easily went right? But we're both like thick-skinned guys, and we understood that it was like, hey, this is good dialogue. This is things that needs to be spoken about. And it was never like well, I agree to disagree. It was kind of like, well, you know what? I understand your perspective. I can appreciate your perspective. But here's how I felt. There was never any sort of like, when we were done talking, it wasn't like, well, Dave is an asshole. Like, he's not understanding X, Y, Z. I could only assume that this is the direction you guys are coming, for the podcast. This is not coming from a place where you guys are trying to cause harm. You guys are just looking to maintain and salvage something that you guys care so much about, but you're also willing to hear other people's perspective if they can fact check.
Also, we are, like we say, when we talk at like the last Christmas episode podcast, we talked about techniques.
I love it. You guys got a Christmas fucking episode. No, yeah. I don't even have a Christmas episode.
Take that.
Take that.
We had Christmas jumpers. Mike had Christmas
nipples.
What the fuck that was?
I saw it. It was great.
A sawn off torso from a victim he didn't like or something. Like a client he didn't like. But I forgot what the question was. No, techniques. No, basically, yeah, sorry. So it's...
Show us what you have in your hand. That's why you forgot the question. Yeah. What's in there? What's in front?
Godfather?
Anyway. Godfather, yeah, it is. So what I was saying was, like, in the last episode, we talked about techniques, and we say to people, we throw down the gauntlet, right? You don't have to prove yourself, but if we struck a nerve about what we said, prove it. We're almost asking to be shown. Like, so we touched on the subject of 1 day sessions, all 3 sessions in 1 day. And we was like, well, throw down the gauntlet, show me healed results, show me in 2 years' time, up close, not from 20 feet away, which is my new pet peeve, I can't stand it, but like show us and prove to us. So when we do another episode of something about techniques and we do talk about maybe 1 day sessions, we can actually say, oh yeah, actually we did see a good one. Do you know what I mean? We want to see the proof as well. So we are like seeking out the truth as well for our own circumstances, but as we go on, no one can prove anything at the moment. Everything what we've thrown out there, no one's come back to us and go, but this. And rightly so, they don't have to prove a point. But for me, that's the only way you're going to get me on your side. You come up with new fancy pigments and new fancy needles and all this sort of stuff. You've got to prove to me, to get me on your side as a consumer, why does all these things that you created, like what's the mechanics? Why are you doing it? Why is it so special? So it's about trying to, for us to find the results as well, but also, say to people, come on, like, prove it. If you've got substance in what you want to say, prove it to us as well. So everybody who watches it then can see it at some point, if you get me.
Got you. Dave, I got this question for you, right? So I understand you guys are looking for, you guys want the proof, right? Show me the Carfax. And I understand that there are some things that are going on in the industry right now that doesn't look so good now, and it's not going to look any good in the future. Help me and the listeners understand, how does manufacturing of needles and pigment potentially hurt the industry whether it be now or in the long run? I know there's several topics, but let's stick to these two right now, and then we'll move along to some other.
Well, what it is I wouldn't say it's the manufacturing; it's the lack of manufacturing that's going on. People are just going to the same manufacturer that makes really, really poor products, and they make, we'll say, needles, for example. There's a company, and I know quite a few of them because I get hit up because I'm in the tattoo space. Hey, do you want a new needle? We'll design one just for you. But what they do is they just change the color of the casing, and they put your label on the back. So everybody, I'm not saying everybody, the majority of the needles out there are made by one manufacturer, and they also probably manufacture cat toys and fire extinguishers or something like that. They don't have a specialty. And I'm not saying everybody, I'm just saying that's what's going on because it's so inexpensive to get your own needle. There's a reason why it's so inexpensive because they're mass produced cheap. So it's the lack of manufacturing. And yet people go out there and say, oh, I have the best, sharpest needle in the world. No, they don't. They have the needle just like everybody else, and there's no difference. So I'm not going to brand drop. I don't have to, but
the mold is nostalgic.
But I know what correct manufacturing entails, and when your product looks different than everybody else's, there's a reason why, because it's made special, or it's not innovative. What's the word I'm looking for? Exclusive or something.
Yeah, innovation.
Yeah, and then when it comes to the pigments, it's the same. It's the exact same thing. Someone can use an ink that has been known to work for decades in the tattoo industry and just rebottle it, or get it themselves in bulk and just pour it in bottles in their kitchen and slap a label on it, and it's that easy. That's why most of these other inks out there have the exact same dilution chart. They have the exact same MSDS, exact same. So what we plan on doing is I don't want everybody to just listen to what I say because, oh, he's Dave Hoffer, he works for Bishop. No. I can fact check. I can. There's proof in my pudding. That sounded gross, didn't it? Ugh.
A little bit, but that's all right.
But we plan on having guests on that are manufacturers that can tell you about the processes, and that's all they do. So they are manufacturers of ink or needles. I'm going to get our machine, guru. I'm going to try to get Franco on just to talk about machines and why you need a good quality machine. All products are very, very important. And our industry has turned into, it used to be art, what we did. Now it's turned into a business. And when you could turn something artistic into a business, there's money behind it. Anything. What do people want to do? They want to try to monetize as much as they can. How do you monetize? Oh, I'm going to come up with my own product that's made somewhere else, and it's not that quality. I'm just going to slap my label on it because I have an influence.
If here's some homework. Sorry,
Paul, you wait your turn, okay? This is my podcast.
I was just going to say, you can go on AliExpress, type in SMP needles, and you'll see pretty much everything there. That's what I'm going to say. That's some homework for the viewers there.
Just so you know, Paul, I've been waiting to say that for 24 hours, all right? No. So, Dave, I just, to elaborate, and again, this is not me challenging you. I kind of just want to break things down Barney style, because when the community listens to this podcast, I need them to understand the position that you guys are coming from. So I'm going to break it down Barney style, because that's how the Marine Corps taught me how to learn, right? You break it down Barney style, everyone understands it. And if you can't understand it Barney style, then you're just fucked. So you're not saying that there's an issue with someone. Okay, let's just use me for an example. Scalp Solution decides he wants to go out and create his own needles and his own pigment. You don't have an issue with that. The issue is when you refer to the lack of manufacturing is the actual overall quality. Am I understanding that correctly?
Well, yes and no, because they say, we're going to use what you said, Barney style, as an example. Say you wanted to come up with a Scalp Solutions pigment, okay?
Got it.
What would be your start? You're like, where do I start with this stuff? You're probably going to look for ink manufacturers around the world, okay? How are you going to know who does good stuff? You're going to read their,
reviews,
see what their website says, try to find something. What I would do is I would find something that already works, something that's been known to work for decades. Okay. I don't want to get something new because if it's new, it's untested. Paul and Mike, we all talk all the time. We want to see healed results. How's this going to look in 5 years? How's it going to look in 10 years? If it holds up, that holds weight. So you want to find an ink that can hold up. So my idea is I'm going to go to a tattoo ink that I know from other tattoo artists that I know or other people that have been in the industry. Hey, what has been what's worked and still looks good after 10 years? What ink did you use? And I'm going to contact that ink manufacturer. So if people want to go ahead and contact an ink manufacturer, go ahead. It's going to cost a lot of money for them to develop your own pigment. Or what they'll say is just use ours, put a label on it. So there's nothing wrong with that. That's business. But is it transparent? Or is Scalp Solutions going to say, yeah, I came up with my own pigment? First of all, you're going to tell everybody where you're getting it manufactured. Most people don't, because they don't want people to know, oh shit, he's getting it manufactured by Dynamic. Well, then I'm just going to go buy Dynamic. So it's the hiding behind somebody else. And I know that's business. Sometimes people buy stuff and they put their label on it because they have an influence and they can sell it for higher. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but it's kind of cringy.
Yeah.
In a crowded industry, how do you stand out and attract more clients? Introducing SMP Compare by Team Micro, the world's most popular SMP platform with over 3,000 visitors every day, all searching for trusted artists like you. Clients can contact you directly, no middleman, no delays. Just pure connection and trust. From flawless hairline designs to 5-star reviews, SMP Compare lets you highlight what makes your business exceptional. And here's the best part. It's affordable. Just 1 or 2 new clients a year and it pays for itself. Today's clients value transparency and convenience. Be on a platform that delivers both. Join SMP Compare and make it easier than ever for your clients to choose you. Sign up now at teammicro.com and grow your business with the best in the industry.
Today, I want to talk to you about something crucial for your SMP business, where you get your tools. It's not just about having the right tools. It's about getting them from a source you can trust. And that's why I recommend Palms Fashion. Palms Fashion has been serving professionals since 1991, right here in the heart of New York City. As a family-run business, they've built a reputation for providing new and authentic products to licensed professionals around the world. And now, they're taking it a step further by offering scalp micropigmentation supplies so you can get everything you need in one place. They're an official distributor of the biggest names in the industry: Andis, Wall, Babyliss, Stylecraft, Ink You Care, and more. These are the brands we trust to deliver flawless results, and Palms Fashions ensures you're getting genuine products with full warranties, plus SMP supplies you need to keep your business running smoothly. Your tools and supplies are an investment in your craft and your success as an SMP artist. So don't just buy from anywhere. Trust the experts at Palms Fashion. Whether you're in New York City or shopping online at palmsfashioninc.com, they've got everything you need to take your business to the next level. Remember, trust the best, trust Palms Fashion.
Especially the price that people are charging for these SMP inks, it's cringy.
Yeah. And we've been brainwashed from the beginning too. You know, I mean, I catch myself some of these days when I do consultation. Oh, our pigment is different than tattoo pigment. I was like, no, it's actually the same shit. But we've been brainwashed from the beginning. Traditional tattoo ink is different than SMP ink, right? But then you start to learn what we're using. But if you tell other people, you tell the clients, like, oh, you guys using tattoo ink. But yeah, it is tattoo ink. That's what it is. You know what I mean? But even I catch myself to this day, because it was in Breton from the beginning, you have to tell it's not real tattoo ink, SMP ink. So that makes you think.
And if I could say something super quick, thanks, Mike, for saying that. It's amazing how, and I listen to a lot of people. Dave, I've listened to every one of your podcasts. It's wonderful.
Thank you.
I because I like to hear what people have to say. But it's interesting how when people talk about SMP inks, they say one thing, but as soon as it's bad, they're saying, oh, it's a bad tattoo ink. Why, when it's bad, it's tattoo, but when it's good, it's SMP? I've seen them say that with SMP too. Oh man, this guy came in with bad SMP. They must have used a bad tattoo ink. Well, yeah, bad tattoo ink is going to do that, but good tattoo ink isn't.
So, Paul, like I understand the training and that's gotten out of control and like these crazy techniques and these one-day sessions and stuff like that. But how do you guys foresee this portion, like the business portion? How is it that this can be detrimental to the industry in the long run?
So,
The drink is low.
so like Dave said, it's not going to be the same as microblading, but it's the same mechanics of what's happened to microblading. I think when I was on the stage, I shouted out to someone, like, what did microblading used to cost back in the heyday? And someone said like it was, surpassed $500. And I said, what is it now? And it's like $60, $70. So my theory is, just like that, microblading, everybody got into it, bam, 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 competitor. And the people who are shit hot at it still can charge a decent rate, but nowhere the rate that used to be. So that's what I feel is happening with S&P. I have seen it. I generally believe that the pricing structure of S&P, if we continue down this path of all these educators and blah, 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 and just spawning out new artists who are not being looked after, we are spawning so much competition. We're not slowing down. We're not thinking about the future. It's the, get rich quick scheme kind of mindset who really I don't believe that sort. They come into education and just get herds of trainees. They're not really passionate about S&P. They're just like cash cow, like just get it while we can. What's going to happen is going to drive the prices down, and it's already driving the prices down. So I generally think if we continue this way in 5 years, 6 years time, we'll be struggling, I think, in the UK to get over $2,000 for S&P, because I'm in Birmingham, right? There's over 25 artists it's like the second biggest city in the UK. There's 25 artists, and we're all very much half an hour away. And everybody left, right, and center is undercutting me, this, and this, and this. And I'm hearing it $250, £250 to £500 and all this sort of stuff. And, people who don't do the research, they'll come and ask me my prices, and they're like, what? That's ridiculous. I've just been quoted $1,200 down the road. And I'm like, yeah, but do you know what they've done? So this is something what I feel like everybody's going to end up doing. We're all going to be treading on our toes. It only takes one good artist to go, you know what? I'm not going to be greedy. I'm just going to charge a flat out £1,000 for the treatment and keep it there. And that artist can be really good. And then what happens? It's just going to start creating revenues of people going to different cheaper prices and changing the narrative. What we've not done is secured the narrative of what S&P is. People just come in and just undercut it, cheapen it, and devalued it. Where if we had proper training in the beginning and proper apprenticeships, which created pride, dedication, and passion about the industry, when they come out the other end and then they train people, they go, you're jumping through the same fucking hoops as me, and we're going to keep the integrity of the artwork, and we're going to keep the integrity of the pricing as well. But with all these mass educators popping in, and then they're left after a couple of days to themselves, get a shiny website, shiny clinic, and go, right, how can I fuck up the competition here? I'm not greedy. I'm just starting off. I'm going to tell people that I've been doing it for 5 years, and I'm going to charge £500 per session. And that keeps on happening. So now I feel like this is where this podcast has come from, is that if we don't try to vocalize how we feel it is and where it's going, then, we've just shut up and put up. I'm not that type of person. I'm like ready to throw down when it comes to stand up for the right thing. And I love S&P, and I see it as my little baby, because I created the modern day techniques for S&P. Before me, it was just dog shit. So I do feel like, it's my little baby sometimes. So I am going to protect it and nurture it. And when I see people doing stuff like this, it makes the foundation of the industry rattle a little bit. And I think because I'm in a small town compared to you guys in America, and I bet you have seen it in some form as well, that I'm seeing people just drop their prices just to get clients away from me. And sometimes it's worked, but I keep on telling myself that client is not my client. My clients are the people who do research, extensive detailing, look at work very closely, want heal results. Them are my people. The people who want a cheap treatment, I say to myself, you're not my clientele, and I don't want to deal with you. But I think if the way it's going, I will have no choice but to accept that's my clientele.
Yeah, because scalp micropigmentation always been life-changing, life-saving, right, industry procedure, not, more of a makeup beauty procedure. We're not microblading where you can go weekly and change color of your eyebrows or eyelash, whatever that you can get done. This is life-changing procedure for clients that we care about, right? So that's what we got to keep doing and making sure it doesn't disappear and just becomes, like we say, microblading industry for everyone else.
Mike, how do you guys decide on the topic that you guys are going to cover, right? Because I know you guys have tons, right? Where you guys
We
pulling it
just go
from?
with
Is
the
it from
flow. I
personal
mean, we might text
experience,
each other.
audience, or trends?
Yeah, well, I mean, it goes with the flow. We might text each other the day before, and maybe David or me or Paul will come up with something. And, hey guys, let's talk about this. All right, let's do it. Let's see what happens. Because like when we talked in New York, I mean, there were so many topics. We could have spent another month in New York, but not in that little room.
Edging was a
We could have
topic.
been edging the entire month about SMP because there's so many different topics that we have, and that's why we came out with that idea of the podcast, because there's so much to cover. But it's nothing special. We don't prepare for it. We just go with the flow. You know what I mean? Because it's me and Dave. We always discuss like how you explain or teach SMP to someone if it comes naturally to you, right? It's like second nature. Same with these topics. It's like we know it, we've seen it, so we can jump into it right away, and we don't have to plan it. Obviously, now we have to get some facts later on to back it up, right? But that's why we need help from other people as well. So show us. Let us know where we can find this. There's more information about it, if it's true or not. I mean, we're not saying this is how it's going to be. This is how it's done. No, we're going to bring people to this podcast to prove that this is how it's made. This is how it's done, so people can educate themselves as well.
Dave, in your opinion, what's the biggest challenge facing SMP artists today? And how do you think you guys and your platform, this podcast, you're going to help tackle that?
Well, like Paul said earlier, opinions are like assholes, and we have 3 assholes on our podcast. But we're assholes with integrity, and we're assholes who we've had some skin in the game. So if you want to listen to 3 guys who kind of know what they're talking about, listen to us 3 assholes. So what's the biggest challenge when you say with SMP artists? Would that be new and upcoming artists, or would that be existing artists, or what?
Let's take the industry as a whole right now. Let's just put the all SMP artists right now, whether new, OGs, guys that's just been in the game for like about a year or two. What do you think is one of the biggest challenges right now that we all face, all of us?
I think it's misinformation. We're being inundated with misinformation, whether it be training, whether it be products, or whether it be technique. It's misinformation. And anybody has an opinion, especially when you're on social media. You can say whatever you want. And then, like, I hate to keep going back to the influence thing, but when you can say whatever you want and you have a big audience, more people are going to listen to you. And most people don't fact check. So there's so much misinformation out there. Nobody knows what to believe. So who are you going to believe? You're going to believe someone who has multiple clinics, or has hundreds of thousands of followers, or who has a decade in the industry. You're going to listen to that person. And it's rightfully so. I would do the same thing. But how much of what they're telling you is true? Or are they just telling you to get people to come buy their products or get their service done? So it's misinformation.
I mean, common sense, right? If someone tells you, David, let me know if there's any industry out there that you can get trained in 3 days and you can make 6 figures. I mean, there is. I mean, I've looked for any other profession that you can be trained in 3 days and make 6 figures, but that's what other artists are advertising.
Strippers.
You don't have to train for that.
OnlyFans.
It's given talent.
Can I just plug my OnlyFans while we're here?
Paul, who's pouring your drinks, man? It's full again. How many have lined up? Show me those glasses.
That glass, he's been drinking that shit the whole time, and it has not gone down. Somebody's filling it from the other side.
See, he's got double fisting. Yeah,
he's got it pregame. He's pregame.
You told me to bring drinks.
Really quick. So, Dave, you mentioned influencers, right? You've thrown that out there a couple of times, right? So, I feel like when it comes to art, right, we always try to stand out some way, somehow, right? So you eventually at some point you become an influencer indirectly, whether you want to or not. And there is a lot of noise and there's a lot of competition out there. But what is the one thing that you feel SMP artists need to focus on to stand out in the industry where they're not reaching that level where you saying is like, oh, now they're an influencer, so now anything that they say, people are just gonna go do. What do you think we should focus on to really make us stand out?
2 words: be good. You need to be good at what you do.
And take care of the clientele.
I think transparency is big, but be good at what you do. You can be an influencer, you cannot. You can be successful, you cannot. But if you're good at what you do, it will come. But unfortunately, we're living in a world where you don't have to be good anymore to be successful. You can portray that you're good. There was a guy that I follow. I don't know what his name is, but it's like real-time results. He's this big, jack tattooed dude, and he posted something, and his work is good, and he posted some transparent stuff, and that's why I've been kind of following him.
Yeah, they sent me that.
Yeah, he wrote something about, it's out there. So, and this is kind of props to this guy. We all said something like, I may have portrayed that I had an awesome year and everything was great, me on the beach, me smoking cigars and all this stuff. But in all honesty, most of the year was depression, and it was, not making enough money. But I don't show people that, because all we want to show is the highlight reel. We want to show all the successes and all the good stuff. You'll show a couple little, vulnerable moments. That's to get people to go, oh my God, I'm so sorry for you. It's just to get some sympathy. But for the most part, we're just putting highlight reels on there. If we're not doing well, we'll kind of hide behind it. We had our last Christmas episode, and Paul asked me a question, and I came out and said it. I said, I had a bad year, a really bad year. It was very slow. The money's tight. Clients aren't coming in like they used to be. And I'm a bit worried. And it's true. I'm not going to sit here and put a picture of me in front of, my Lamborghini Hot Wheel car. I'm not going to do that. And I think we're kind of all hiding behind that. So when we think that everybody else is doing well and we're not going to admit to it. We're just wondering, why is everybody else so successful and we're not? So it's a tough world out there for anybody trying to get into anything new, because you don't know what to believe in.
Where do you think all this stemmed from, right? Because at some point in the industry, there was a momentum going on. I feel like this was like the era of the gatekeeping, right? You guys had one system, and this is how we operated, whether it was you only use this pigment, you didn't dilute this way, it only had to be done this way. At what point do you feel like the industry just opened up and now we started inheriting all these issues? Go, Paul. Go for it, brother.
I'm no stranger saying this. I was pretty much at most of the beginning of why things have escalated the way they are. When I was in his hair clinic, I came up with this technique. It was under lock and key. If you was only a his hair clinic employee, you would learn this technique, right? So then when people got screwed over by that company, they started leaving and taking my technique with them, which is I have no problem with, because they were taught it. I don't expect anybody to come up with a new technique. So that branch started going this way. And then I feel like when people started setting up the companies, and me with joining other people to set up a company as well, you have different mindset. You have the businessman mindset come in, very corporate mindset. And my experience was these corporate mindsets were going, how else could we make money? What could we do? Could we do products? Could we do training? And training was something what was sparked up in a clinic what I used to work at. And then it was like, yeah, let's do training. Come on, that's another revenue of money. We got to get more revenue. We got to start making more money, just not buy treatment. And then products, let's sell a pigment now. What pigment have you been using, Paul? This pigment. Okay, let's start selling this pigment. And I think that happens to me, and I feel that happens to thousands of others people who start taking that narrative. Oh, okay, that clinic's doing 5 days training. Okay, let's beat them, do 4-day training. Oh, they're doing 4-day, we'll do 3-day. Then the narrative changed to 3-day because it's more convenient and all this sort of stuff. So I feel like that's how it kind of, where the starting line was and where it branches off. And then people who partake a 3-day training course after 6 months do a training academy, and then it just goes on and on and on, and the whole snowball of shit just gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and that's where the momentum comes from. So that's where I feel like where it stems from now. And unfortunately, like there's not been a person who are doing what we're doing to go, whoa, stop, this is the issue, this is what's wrong with this is what's wrong with the industry. We've got the balls to finally go, stop, this is what's going wrong with the industry. And it's amazing. Even I've spoken to people who've been qualified for about a year, and then they come to me and go, you're right about the training, it shouldn't be like this, because then all of a sudden they've got integrity about the work. You have to get your foot in the way into the industry. But then it's amazing how these people go, no, we need to protect our industry. I don't want this no more. I don't want this 3-day training, even though they got in that way. So it's even the people who are old as shit as me in the industry, and the people who are just a year into the industry all want the same thing. But this snowball now is taking so much momentum. Like, it's going to be, I don't think it will ever stop. The only way we can slow down the momentum is that we, an ethical artist, change the narrative of going, that is shit. 3-day training is shit. You're not going to learn from it. But this level of apprenticeship program isn't shit. And then all of a sudden there's 3-day and there's maybe 4 months, 5 months, whatever, to combat that. And then that, over time, people start looking at this and going, hold on. There's people now saying this is five months, and then there's people saying 3 days. That, and automatically you know straight away, if you've got a training program what's 5 months and 3 days, this looks a bit more dodgy than the 5 months. So I feel like that's where the industry needs to start all collectively going, drop the 3-day bullshit, which some will, some won't.
Yeah, we won't stop.
But we need to change that. We need something to combat that. And that doesn't have to come from me, Dave, or anybody. It just needs to come from a collective of artists who love what they do and want to preserve the industry.
Yeah, because we discussed about this before. Like, we won't be able to stop people doing the 3-day training, but at least change the certification for it. Don't certify students after 3 days being certified as a practitioner that can work on skin. Maybe certify them as intro to scalp micropigmentation, right? The basics. So they see if this is something they want to continue in and pursue it, right? And then take longer training. But after 3 days, you can't just certify someone that can be working on skin. Like David always say, if there's some out there that had a student being trained for 3 days, would you be willing them to work on your hat? I don't think so. I wouldn't have anyone touch my head after 3 days of training. I don't think anyone else would do the same thing. So don't certify them as a practitioner that can work on skin after 3 days, because it's common sense. You can't learn this in 3 days. How are you supposed to see your own work after 3 days? It doesn't take 3 days to heal. Yeah, they say, oh, we get students coming in for touch-ups, but it's not their work. It's not their pressure. So how do they know? Oh, yeah, the second session looks awesome. Yeah, let me fucking just do third session. But they don't know how their pressure looks after second session, and eventually third session, right? How it's healed. How are they supposed to learn? They're not going to be able to learn in 3 days. Common sense. To me, it's common sense.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with a lot of the stuff that you guys have spoken about with the training as well too. And it's so funny because I get a lot of new SMP artists that listen to the podcast, and a lot of them always like, you know what, Dave, I've never seen you. You're like, you don't do training. You're not big on this. Like, I've done like, oh, I'll help with someone else's. And when they ask me, I've always been 100% transparent. And anyone that has worked with me, I always ask, like, yo, are you saying, after these 3 days, you're going to be able to go out and do X, Y, Z? Because that's not going to happen. Like, I don't want to be part of that, right? Because now I'm contributing to the problem. And it didn't take, not that it wasn't a long time, because it did. It took maybe like about 4 or 5 years to kind of be like, yo, this is crazy. I'm part of the problem. Like, no one in business that can say, oh, you're going to make 6 figures is going to perfect or be a master in this skill in such short time, right? So if I'm understanding correctly, you guys don't necessarily have an issue with the 3-day training as long as it's promoted something to the extent of like, in these 3 days, we're going to teach you the basic fundamentals of scalp micropigmentation. This is not going to prepare you to move forward as a full-time SMP artist. This is essentially just that, right? This is your freshman year of college. You still need more training. Am I processing that correctly?
This is one of the solutions.
Like I had a great conversation with Saif Siddiqui in Meet the Minds, and he was just like, What would you change then, Paul? And I was just like, well, why don't we just dress it up as what it is? It's an introduction. So instead of saying qualified or fundamentals or anything like that, it should just be an introduction into SMP. That's what it should be. So then they can't take that certificate and put it on their wall and open up a clinic because it says, I've been introduced, an introductee into SMP industry. Like, do you know what I mean? Something what has text which is very descriptive of where they are at their level, rather than saying advanced or distinction SMP training course. You know what I mean? So it starts with that certificate as well. So then, it stops people and it encourages people to go back. But we're in this day and age now where people just, if you say to a customer, oh, you do SMP training? Yeah, I do 3 days of training. Is my certificate say I'm qualified? Oh, no, it's going to say introduction into SMP. I'll see you later. And that's the issue now. And I just want to say to you, fair play for like you going against the grain and going against the major issue as well, because you have a very big platform, Dave. You could sell out training academies easily, but you already have the power of the foresight. This is just so detrimental to our industry. We're whoring it out like it's a cheap ass thing when it's artistry. It's playing with people's lives. So I feel like that terminology will really help, but we're not going to get rid of these jabronis overnight, unfortunately.
Yeah, I have, and I thought about it. I was thinking about it yesterday. I made a couple of phone calls to a couple of friends that have absolutely nothing to do with the industry, but, these are like business friends and mentors. And I was like, you know what? I'm really thinking about showing them like how far some people are willing to go when it comes to the training and the deceptiveness. And I wanted to like show like some screenshots of like how some of these guys have been like, yo, bro, I'll give you $50,000, bro. Just like put something out there, leverage the podcast, put something, because I know we'll fill it. You don't even have to teach, just give them a Scalp Solutions certificate and we'll make a killing. And I would be like, brother, like I don't operate like that. I mean, what? I don't give a fuck. They're going to hear this anyway. I'm not putting their name out there. But I would be like, listen, I appreciate you for thinking of me and wanting to break bread with me. You know what I mean? But
like add another 2 zeros at the end of that number. We'll talk.
And listen, guys, if you're listening, please don't take this. Like, this is not me trying to fucking sound like I'm bigger than what I am. But like $50,000 is just not going to get the fucking wang piece to move, to the left, to like then not feel good about it, right? You know what I mean? Like I want to make $50,000. Of course, who the fuck does it? But I don't want to make $50,000 and then go, damn, I just screwed this kid because he now thinks he's gonna go out there and he's gonna be the next me or the next Paul or the next Dave or the next Mike. Not only that, I know I don't have the capabilities to answer all fucking 100,000 other questions that they could possibly have because I've only worked with them for 3 days, which is not really the 72 hours. If you really look at it, we're working with them, 15 hours, maybe 18 hours. And some of them aren't even answering the questions that they want because they're just looking at the like, I'm about to make $100,000. It's on. I don't care. I just need
David,
this.
how long was your training?
Certificate. But
if I may ask.
So I did 3 days. And after my 3 days, and I've been very transparent about this already. After my 3 days, I went out on my own and I didn't immediately open up. See, because I felt that. I was like, this wasn't enough for me. So I need to train, right? So what I do, I started working on thin skin and I did that for hours, days, weeks. And then I said, you know what? Let me now try and take on some clients. And I was like, I was very transparent with them. Hey guys, I just learned this shit. But if I ruin you, I'm going to pay for your laser, right? And I did that. And I still, at my 39th client, still felt lost because I was like, I feel like I'm freestyling this shit right now. And that's when I went and I got my master's training. When I got my master's training, it wasn't just a one-day training. Like I went down to Jonathan Giroux, where Juan took me under the wing. And he was like, listen, if you just do one session, that's not necessarily a master's training. You need to know what your first session comes back healed, a second session, a third session, X, Y, Z. So I was like, sign me up. I don't care how much it costs. That's what I need to know. I didn't learn that initially with my fundamentals training. So, and even that for me, like, I feel like that suffices, but the verbiage should still not be, all right, go on, go on. You're good. Go be a prosperous SMP artist.
Probably like 95% of people feel the same way, right? You're actually, you have a talent, right? You continued on doing it, but some people are like, I know everything already. 3 days, right? They taught me everything. Let me touch the skin.
Yeah.
Right? Why not? So we're not saying maybe there's 2% of people that can probably learn this in 2 days, 3 days. But that's not what we're trying, to educate, right? That only 2-3% will make it in this industry. If you're doing a training, you want to make sure that person gets the right training and successful in SMP. Maybe, or if I continue, you just said it yourself, right? You needed more education, and you went on your own to teach yourself, right? And still, you weren't confident until you took the master class, right?
What I find interesting, Dave, is what I said. Like you said, how did we get to this point? And I said, corporate minds come into it and start fiddling around with it. And you had the same experience. You had people who own different businesses, very successful, and they told you, we can get you to a point where you don't even need to teach. And that's another corporate mind coming into it, worming their way in, which could control the narrative of a new path. And you could create and carve out a new path, which could be great or not ethical. Do you know what I mean? So it's weird, because I feel like a lot of the issues what we highlight is because we have artistic mindsets and souls, and we're very not corporate. All three of us are not corporate, and I imagine you're not very corporate as well, buddy. Like, we're just not corporate. We come from the passion and the artistry and the life changing results, what you can do for people. And when I've always made my biggest mistakes, there's been someone going, we should do this, we should do that. That's when I've made my biggest mistakes, because I've gone, shit, I'm not a business person. This person is. They should take the reins here. And then they just mold it and turn it, and they push you away from the integrity. 3 days, 4 days, yeah, let them bang it out on the head and you'll be fine, and we'll give them a shiny certificate. And I'm like, fuck, this is so bad. How have I got myself into this situation? And it sounds like, you shut them iron gates down, mate. I was like, nope, I don't want that.
Yeah. You say, we're all not corporate. Like, listen, I'm not corporate. I am a businessman, but there are different levels of being a businessman, right? I wouldn't necessarily consider someone a businessman who's making a lot of money because there's false advertising, right? That's not a businessman. That's a fucking con man, right? A businessman, right? Like what Dave said he had 2 words. He said, be good, right? They're good people, right? They're good people, and that's why they're successful, and they can consider themselves businessmen. Con men are snakes, and they put shit out there, that's not true. So, like, I'm just saying that because I know you said it's not corporate, and I understand you referencing that, right? But it's just like I know that there are other artists out there because I talk to them, right? I talk with all of them. I mean, we all talk to each other, and we know that there are some, in fact, that with their training, they're looking to legit help not only the industry, but help the people that they're taking money from. And we also know that some that they really don't give a shit. They're just like, all right, I got another $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 a month. Let's keep this train going. And I guess what I'm trying to get at is, and I just want to, because I know we kind of like all just went back and forth, is the issue is not 3-day training. The issue is the way it's being sold. Correct?
One branch of it, yeah, 100%.
Got you. Now, Dave, what's one hard truth? I give Dave all the good, good ones.
Dave,
what's one hard truth? Actually, you know what? I want all 3 of you guys to answer this one, and if it's the same, just say it's the same one. What's one hard truth that SMP artists need to hear but might not want to?
You broke up a little bit. What's one hard truth that?
What is one hard truth that SMP artists need to hear but they might not want to?
They need to hear.
Come on, this is the No BS Podcast cast.
What they need to hear is really God, that's a good one. I mean, there's so much.
It's gonna take time.
Would it help if I gave you? Would it help you if I gave my answer?
Yes.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. One hard truth that SMP artists need to hear but might not want to is that you are not going to be successful
Next time.
in a year, in a year and a half, in 2 years, or in 3 years, based on what you think success is, right? And let's take it for the sake of terms of us, profit-wise, because this is not something that you just come into and you learn overnight, and now you start making money. There's so much that takes part into becoming a successful S&P artist. Not only do you need to learn the technique, but you need to learn how to be a businessman. You need to learn marketing. You need to learn sales. You need to learn how to articulate yourself. Like, there's so much that goes into being a business that revolves around S&P. You know, S&P is 10% of it. And that's a hard truth, because I always tell people that, like, you're not going to be successful. You know why? Because you came into this industry because you thought you were going to be an overnight fucking six figure. It's not happening.
Okay. So,
and if this bothers someone, I'm sorry.
No, you're absolutely right. And you're not, if it bothers somebody, then maybe they need to toughen up a little bit, grow some thicker skin.
Because there's no business that you can make the kind of money we could potentially make, and there's no fucking struggle. There's no road. There's no journey to it. You just can't. Not even fucking drug dealers, bro. And they make fast money. They have to go through some shit before they can make good money.
No, it's a good one. Now, what you said is, it is a hard truth. It is hard truth.
It's not how many years you're doing.
Your turn, Dave.
It's how many clients have you done as well? Because some of you doing for 3 years, but done 5 clients in those 3 years, right? I think if you
that's what I'm saying. You're not going to be successful.
If you treated maybe 400 or 500 clients, then you can, be more relaxed when it comes to your work. Then you feel free, right? Like it's in you already. It's natural. You don't have to think about it, right? For me, it was always like each year is like, is there something going to pop up I won't be able to, treat or do? And it's always that fear. It's like, is there like a client that's going to be, untreatable? But once you've seen all of it, you feel so comfortable. It's like we always say, it's second nature. You can't explain it. How you explain how to breathe? David, tell me. You just breathe. You just do it, right? That's what SMP is eventually for those people. They've been doing for such a long time and still have a passion for it, because that's what it's all about. It's that passion. The money will come later on, but to me, if let's say I see a struggling client that can't pay, but it's something important for him, I'll do the treatment and price it half off, because it's not trying rip him off. I will try and help him, right? And that's the bigger high you get at the end. It's the natural high you get that you can't replace with any kind of source of money being paid, right? It's you did something good. Karma comes around. That's what I believe in.
Sure. What's that hard truth, Dave? I see it fermenting.
I guess at the end of the day, what we do is for our clients. That's why we do what we do. We do it, to make money, but ultimately we can't make money without our clients. And what they do is they come into us and they trust us. They trust us with their look. They trust us with their confidence. They trust us with their mental health, because that's what we're here to help. We can't just treat that willy-nilly. We can't just say, oh yeah, I've been doing this for a little bit. I just got trained. I can work on you. That's a human being that you could severely affect their lives. So we are gifted with this job of a huge responsibility, and we have to take it seriously. And if you don't take it seriously and you're just going to treat every client just like a number, like I've heard people go, I've had this many clients. I don't know how many clients I've had. I don't count them. I know who people are. I know who Raul was when he came in last week. I know who Anthony was when he came in the week before. I know who they are. These are real people. And I know not every business is going to know every one of your customers, but they're more than customers. These are fucking people. They're friends now. They trust. I have guys that call me up years later like, dude, you fucking hooked me up so good. I can't thank you enough. You know how good of a feeling that is? But that has to stay like that. And it can't go to the business. I mean, it is a business. Don't get me wrong. But if you treat it like a business, I don't think it's going to have that same feel. So I don't know. The hard truth is we're all trying to just be artists. And at the end of the day, if you are an SMP artist, you are a tattoo artist. And if you are a tattoo artist, stay in your lane, know what you do, and just be
like Paul said, treat it like your baby, like this is your kid. Let it grow. Take care of it.
I'll say the last. I'll circle back. Paul, what's your hard truth?
You're not going to be special for a long time. You're going to come into this and you think, yeah, I got this technique down. I'm going to start being the number one on big dogs. I'm going to start barking. I'm going to get a videographer, make me look really shit hot. Because that's all it takes. It just takes a videographer to make you look fucking amazing. Even though you produce dog shit, videographer can make you look like you're flying to fucking Japan every 6 seconds of the day. You're not going to be special for a long time. And if you come into this industry thinking that you're not going to be special, this is not your industry. I came into this industry thinking I'm going to fucking set the benchmark. I'm going to do everything in my power to be known for my results. Not me talking about my results, for my results, right? And that took a long time. That took a long time to get noticed by hair transplant surgeons, to actually get them on our side. It took a long time. So if you come into the industry with your basic bitch knowledge and think you're going to be special, you're not. You might see some spark happening maybe in your 4th and 5th year. If you're not willing to get there, then this is not your industry. Still to this day, 15 years in, I always go, man, I think I'm going to tweak this about myself. I feel like this is going to be better. Or I'm going to change this needle size. And I'm going to play around with this hairline. So you're not going to hit the ground running. You're going to have to graft. You're going to have to cry. You're going to have to resent yourself. You're going to have to be jealous or everything. Now, like I said, it is a graft. It will take its toll on it, a toll on you. But good work always rises to the crop over all the noise. I don't have a marketing budget. I'm very lucky to not have a marketing budget because my work speaks for itself. I have a big portfolio where people go, I like that. That's where you need to be. You need your work to speak volumes. You need work to compete with us on screen to go, fuck, that's amazing. Oh, that looks like Paul's, or that looks like Dave's, or, Mike's and stuff like that. So you've got to come into it with passion, fire, dedication to be special, but also for the right reasons to make someone feel special about themselves. That's my heart.
First, I want to say that was a small flex saying that you don't have a marketing budget, Paul. We didn't need to do that to us, but that's okay.
Discussion.
That's okay. But I want to piggyback off what you said, because I feel like I need to elaborate a little bit when I said from my heart truth saying that you're not going to be successful. I guess what I mean is you're not going to be successful if you come with the mindset of like, this is an overnight fucking, overnight success train. That's what I mean. Now, if you put the work in, obviously, and you do everything in between, then yes, of course, there's a probability that you're going to be successful. What I mean is what the culture that I feel like the industry has evolved into now. If you come accepting that mindset, in this short period of time of education, you're going to be successful. No, absolutely. Yeah, it's not, because you need more.
I feel like what I was saying, I don't know if I said it, I was probably going more on the aspect of producing the art. You want your artwork to stand out and be competitive and really special. So it's kind of like mirroring what you're saying, Dave, but it's like you got business and like expectations, then you've got coming into it to produce the best artwork. That was my goal, man.
I also have a marketing budget, unfortunately.
Look who's flexing now.
No, he doesn't have one. I have to put a cap. Like, I can only do 1,000 this month. Sorry. I didn't mean it like a large one.
I didn't mean to flex.
I'm just messing with you, brother. All right, so let me, it seems, right, and I guess kind of this is me now putting a little bit of hot sauce to things, right? Is it safe to say, right? Because I don't know if I'm interpreting it like this. I don't know if the listeners are interpreting it like this. I don't know if this is what you guys mean by when you're saying it, but it sounds like the issue you guys have is, and Dave, you said, if you're an artist, stay in the lane. Do you guys have an issue with the business, the aspect of what SMP is going into? Is it the business?
The wrong direction.
The actual business. Is it the direction of the business? Because you said if you're an artist, like a tattoo artist, you got to stay in your lane. So for me, I'm taking that as all right, I'm an artist. This is what I do. I do hairlines. I need to stick to that. I have no part in going into manufacturing needles and pigment. Actually,
no, you could do all that stuff, but that's your business model. You could do that stuff. We just want more transparency.
People are gonna be doing it just to educate people. What you're buying is the same as the other artist put his name on it. That's it. I mean, it's not like it's so different that this needle's gonna fly or have a light in it or some shit that we don't know about. It's the same thing. You're just putting someone else's name on it, and the price is up because you're paying for the name, not the product itself.
Got it. So the issue is marketing, right? So if I go to a manufacturer who manufactures a $1 bottle of pigment, let's use some realistic.
David, you can drop the name.
You know
It's
what?
your pocket.
Let me read. No. I want to say let's use some realistic measurings with false sales prices, right? Let's say I go to a company who sells a bottle of pigment, an 8-ounce bottle of pigment for $1. And I go, well, you know what? This is a premium service. I'm going to white label this pigment that has been around for years, tried, tested. It's great. And I want to sell this at an upsell price of $10. You guys are saying that's fucked up, David. You shouldn't do that.
That's business.
Yeah, it's not fucked up. It's
right.
It's a
I'm
smart
not saying it's
business,
fucked up.
which is
I'm
letting
saying
you know.
that's business. A very smart business.
Got you.
Yes.
But now let's I'm sorry, Dave. Let's bring it back. Let's continue. Let's paint out like a whole, a business structure here, right? So now I do that. I go in front of my camera with my beautiful purple background. Hey, what's up, SMP world? Check this out. I just came out with this pigment right here for 8 ounces. It's going to be the best retention. Is blacker than the blackest than Paul Clark's ass. XYZ. Triple black. Right? Right? And it's the best retention, SPF 50 proof. And this is how I'm marketing it. Is that where it becomes an issue now? Because I'm not being transparent?
It's cringy. You're being transparent. Now, if I have a question, I say, well, what is that pigment? And you're going to, with every right that you have, you could say, I'm not going to tell you where I have it made. I don't have to. I'm not going to tell you what it is. You don't have to. But people are going to start to question. And when people start to question, there goes your ethics. I think there goes a little bit of your credibility because people are like, man, he just bought that stuff. I could have just bought that stuff. To me, it's cringy. It's cringy to make that much money off of somebody when they could just go straight to the source. It's just, that's me. And I'm sorry, I just can't do that. Now, if you went to that manufacturer that sold that ink and you reach out to them and say, I know you make this stuff. Can you make me the same stuff? That might not be as cringy to me.
Okay.
I think,
right.
Go ahead.
I was going to say,
Paul. Do you feel the same way, Paul? Like, is that because I'm gonna go somewhere. This is where the exchange gets fun. This is gonna get fun.
So
I need a hard stop really soon. Man, I gotta get out.
Oh, okay. So let me see. All right, we got one. Let's see what Paul says after this, and then we'll go. We'll leave it for next one. The next.
I was going to say things like, so here's our new pigment. This is this and this, and everybody goes, and it does this, and it makes you see in the dark, and it makes you see into the future, and all this sort of stuff.
Silicone in it.
Yeah, it does all these amazing things, and then nothing. You don't see a follow-up post saying, hey, this is what our pigment looks 1 year healed. This is what our pigment looks 2 years healed. It's just guffing out information, have it blah, 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 and then nothing to back it up. And then I'm just like, how many people are going to release needles and pigment and then they don't prove it? There's like, for me as a consumer, if you want me to believe in your product, show me what the product does, because we all can say it's black. We can all say it's vegan. We can all say it's plant-based and organic. But like, where is these businessmen's foresight to go, oh, hold on, let's back up what we got to say? Because I think what they would do then is go, maybe it doesn't look as crisp and on our phones where you put the sharpness straight. That's what it doesn't look like in a month's time. So it's like, where's that transparency? Everybody like there's so many new pigments. This is not a tattoo ink, and this is a tattoo ink, and stuff like that. And this holds after about 12 months. Where's the follow-up marketing post? What says this is what our pigment does in 12 months? And just to give you a heads up, because you were talking about margins and prices. So the bottle of pigment what I buy is £54, and it's 8 ounces. And that is going to be like that, and it will last a very, very long time.
Which is important for the new practitioners, right? Like we're talking about business. You own your own business. Your overhead, you want to control how much you're spending. If you're a new artist, if you can get the same machine for $200 and it's paying $1,000 because it's got someone's name on it, the same with the inks. Inks are going for $75, $80. Where you can get that same ink for $25 and have it for an entire year. That's money saving right there, which you're buying the same product, just you're paying for the name. It's with everything. That's business, though. It's with clothing, the same thing.
That's what I was going to ask you. I was going to ask you. So, like, if it's the same thing and it's business, then why is it an issue?
We're just trying to educate people
because
there's an option.
So SMP is a tattooing business. We are tattooers, right? When I got into the industry, the guy who got me in was terrified of the word tattoo. People in England back in 2009 were like, I do not want a tattoo even on my arm. Most of the general public. So to use the word tattoo on my head was a crazy thing to get to clients over. But we are so identical to the tattoo world with the needles, devices, everything we use pigment. But the only difference is between the tattoo world and us is that we label what we do as SMP. So with that label, people can control the narrative. This is different handset. This is a different needle. This is a different pigment, because we're not tattoo artists. We are SMP artists. But you scrub all that mess away and strip it to its bones. We are tattoo artists. If you put the magnifying glass in the tattoo world, tattoo artists who are selling pigment, they're not trying to squeeze their pigment down to the little thimble size and go, this is $150. This is special ink. No, they're very upfront and going, hey, buy an 8 ounce for $54 and you're going to be pretty good for like 5-6 months. Do you know what I mean? And it's because it's got a different label. People have took the opportunity, and it could be business mind, and they saw enough and revenue to make a lot of money, and they've done that. But now, because we've got no collars around our neck, we can say these things where we are just like the tattoo artists. There's no difference. They do artwork everywhere on the head. We just concentrate as on the head.
Very well said.
Fuck you.
Oh, he said fuck you at the end.
All right, there he goes. All right. So
did you get any of that?
So I did. I just got for like 5 seconds, the very end you cut off, but you were pretty much done. Okay, I see that. I got you. So I feel like there can be like another part or whatever for it, but let's keep it so that it's within reason and people actually see it and they don't go like, well, this is the 3-hour podcast. There's no way I'm gonna.
David, we'll do part 2 on our podcast. We'll invite you to our podcast.
Let's do this. This is what we'll do, guys. If you're listening right now, let us know in the comments if you want us to have a part 2 with the cast of the No BS podcast. And on top of that, don't just let us know that you want to have a part 2. Let us know what are some of the topics that you want to hear addressed. Let us know in the comments, because I'm sure they're going to jump on it. They'll put something out on their platform, and then we'll have them back here so we can dissect it and break it down so that everyone understands. What do you guys think about that?
I like it. Thank you.
Amen.
All right. So let's do this, right? Any final words of wisdoms or some parting shots for the SMP community before you go? And let us know where we can go on to find your podcast and where we can listen to it.
Let me go first, because I have to go use the little men's room really
Dave's got to take a shit.
Hard to no. Number one, bro. Come on.
Bullshit.
Keep it classy.
Keep it classy.
Keep it classy. No. Final words. David, thank you so much for having a platform that we can discuss stuff like this. Some of the stuff that we all talk about is going to be a little uncomfortable. So thank you for allowing us to talk. And thank you for bringing us all together so I can see my boys again. I love these guys. And ultimately, the reason why we all do this, Dave, you included, we all do this because we want to do something that's going to have an effect on people and to make people feel good. We're all about making people feel good.
For sure.
So, and with this, if you're really good at it, you can have a good, successful business and look at yourself in the mirror and be proud.
And be passionate about it.
Mike?
Yeah, be passionate about it. That's what it is. I mean, those are the words from Paul when I was trained by him. If you're not passionate about your work, this is not a job for you because it's just going to turn into 9 to 5. There's no clock in my office, so I don't even look at time because the time flies so quickly. I always tell my clients, because I have 4 kids, as you probably know, young kids, and I always tell them, listen, I love my kids to that, but I'd rather be doing treatments all fucking day than spend 2 hours with my kids because I'll be drained after those 2 hours. I got no passion for that. I love them. I could be doing 4 or 5 clients for the whole day, even at night. I was even thinking of doing like a challenge where I can do 24 hours of treatment.
Oh shit!
You know how
as it was going there, I was like, he's not gonna do it.
You know how when you get to the treatments, you're in your tunnel. This is your relaxed time. This is where you vent out. This is how I feel. So that's why I love doing this. Be passionate about it. You know, I mean, money will eventually come later on, but if you're just here for the money, then you're not gonna last long. You know, it's not, and it's gonna show on your work and in this industry as well. So please, guys, students, don't. How about you, Paul?
I would say for clients and anybody in the industry, just start looking deeper. Look deeper into the information that is trying to be sold to you. Clients, look deeper past the pound and dollar signs. Why are they cheap? Why is this artist cheaper than everybody else? Look deeper into the work. Don't be afraid to ask for real results regarding the clientele. People who come into the industry and looking to buy products, don't be sold by the fancy videographer. Don't be sold by the fake artist trying to look like a fucking Kanye West or whatever. You know what I mean? Just see it for what it is and then ask yourself, why? Delve deeper. Don't buy on impulse. Look deeper into it, because at the end of the day, this is your money, this is your craft, and you want to make sure what you're doing for your clients is the optimal best. So don't get all blindsided by the flashing lights and the glitter and all this sort of stuff. Just take a minute, take a moment to breathe and just go, right, that does look good, but let me delve a little bit deeper. And then you'll start finding the fucking truth about shit. Okay, excellent. Fuck yourself.
Thank you. I like the way your voice just transitioned into very serious movie mode. But
very wise.
Just one more time, I wanna thank Dave, Paul, and Mike for jumping on the podcast, taking some time out of your busy schedule. That's gonna wrap it up for this episode of the Scalp Solutions Podcast. Until the next time, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, David.
Episode.
What's up, everyone? David Santiago here. Let's talk about taking your SMP business to the next level with Guild Payment Solutions. Cash is king, but what happens when your client doesn't have cash? That's where a reliable credit card processing solution comes in. With Guild Payment Solutions, you can securely accept cards, manage transactions, and get paid faster, whether you're running a studio or selling products online. It's more than just convenience, it's a business upgrade. Credit card processing builds trust, keeps your finances organized, and ensures that you never lose a paying client. Don't hold your business back. Visit guildpaymentsolutions.com today and see how they can transform the way you operate your SMP business.